Okay, and we are live. And everybody, welcome back to Thursday Book Club. Pushing right on through another book club. And tonight we have a guest from the Braavosi Broadcast. She's also a fellow geek chatter and a friend, Erin Phillips. I think she's also captain of Team Little Bear. But something's changed, and I don't know. But I'll let her go ahead and introduce herself. And there's a link to her channel in the description. And that'll take you right there. In my opinion, one of the best news channels I've seen come out in a long time.
Well, yes, I'm oh, go ahead. Sorry, we're cutting out.
Go ahead, Erin.
Are you guys waiting on me?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I'm going to put on my because I think it's slowing me down a little, so I'm just going to put on my lemon here. Hi, I'm Erin. I am from Braavosi Broadcast, and I'm so happy to be on here with you guys and reading the Sansa chapter. I love Sansa. She's one of my favorites, even though my screen name is fake Arya. I love me some Sansa. So this is a great chapter. You know, Sansa has been going through so much, and there's some Tyrion action, there's some Sandor action, and I'm a big fan of Sand. So it'll be fun to kind of peek at that.
Well, you get nothing but Sansa love here. Most of us are Sansa lovers, and the rest of us are trying to convert the non-Sansa lovers, but everybody characters created equal here. All characters are created equal here. All righty. You want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Me?
Uh-huh.
Oh, sorry. I was typing in the chat. Yeah. Hey, everybody. I'm Kerri here again this week. Thank you for having me. Thanks for coming, Erin, being a guest on here with us. I'm on Jennifer's channel. Sometimes I've been on Revengeance channel. I'm in chats, lots of places. I do stuff on Amino. I'm on Facebook. My Gmail should be in the description. And I guess that's about it. I won't be here next week. We're going to Gatlinburg on Wednesday. I guess. So.
All right. That sounds awesome. All right, Bree, you want to go ahead?
Did you see me?
Bree?
Better YouTube stream open or something.
I caught that.
If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, we'll come back to Bree, I guess.
Oh, sorry.
Oh.
What you talking to me? Sorry, I was typing in.
Introduce yourself and, talk about your channel, maybe, or whatever. And
yeah, sure. Okay. Hey guys, I'm Revengeance, or Melissa from Facebook. And I'm all over Twitter, Instagram, everywhere else too. Me and Stacy will be doing Dunk and Egg. Actually, she's never read it, so we're gonna talk about it, just kind of about what she thought, because she's done everything.
That's cool. That's cool. So she's gonna be a fresh read, and you've read it, plus, as we know, every companion book.
Oh, yeah, and Dunk and Egg is like something that I just like. We do it in the car on road trips and stuff. My kids love it. My son even
too. That's my favorite.
About it, and he's 11. So yeah, it's like a family favorite. So I was like, you haven't? So we're doing that actually this Saturday, and yep, and we got some stuff coming up on the 7 and R'hllor with Branwick and Kerri, who are on here. Jamie with you eventually. I'm waiting on Jamie with you, my dear. And of course, some Harry Potter stuff coming up too. Those Slytherins, whoop. And and there'll be some other stuff too. So it'll be a surprise.
Yeah.
You'll see. Oh, and yeah, definitely our Blackwood stream's coming up. I want to definitely talk about that because it's going to be really cool. So come check that out when we have it. Even if you're not a fan of Blackwoods or don't really care, yeah, come check it out. It's going to be really awesome.
Hey, it's always good to find a new topic.
Yeah.
All right, Grant, if you go ahead and introduce yourself, and then Liz, you go and take us right on into the overview.
So hello, you guys. I'm on Amino and Facebook and stuff. You can find me around. I'm on Hangout. And I'm excited to do a lot of stuff with Ree coming up. All this Harry Potter and Blackwood stuff. Congratulations to you, Kerri, on going to Gatlinburg. And hello, Erin. We're glad to have you here with us tonight. And I love you.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Did I say that in my introduction? I apologize if I didn't.
You did. You did.
Okay.
That's why I said that.
Yeah. Okay.
We're all Sansa lovers mostly, I think. I love
it. I haven't been to Tennessee
but I can admit that. I'll admit it.
See, I wanted to be on next week because the 29th is my birthday, so y'all could like party with me.
Have a birthday stream.
Thursday night.
Maybe we will have to get something together. I had seen on Facebook where it was coming up. I try to keep a lookout on that kind of thing, and
I appreciate it.
And with that, Liz.
Yep, go at it, Liz.
Tonight, Liz is in Ohio, y'all. Tonight,
I am.
The internet really is much better when you're not in Canada.
Okay. I just want to say before I get into it that I have figured out what was wrong, and I really think it was my computer more than my internet connection. So I'm actually using a different computer. I got a new webcam.
Your connection is fire right now. I mean, you've never had a better connection.
Webcam, everything. And so I really think it was I think my connection wasn't great, but the real issue was the computer. So I've tested it on some work calls, streams I had to do, and seems to be part of the issue. So
Liz, I love to be able to hear you.
Yeah, I
know.
Really good.
I love to be able to like not be cutting out and not have you guys cut out and hear you guys. So.
Right. And I'm so excited tonight for your overview. I consider and I don't mind saying this, I consider Liz somewhat of a Sansa expert, if you can.
Yeah.
And Erin, you as well. So I think this is going to be a great discussion, and let's cut the meat away from the bones and get with this.
Yeah, let's get into it. And as you all know, I'm also Castalia Reed on Twitter and Tumblr. I'm on Quora as Liz Galo, so you can find me asking and answering questions there. And my links are all in the description.
Working links, people. Working links.
There's a new.
I need to learn how to do that as a moderator. How to put somebody's link in.
Yeah. One of my fanfics, I have a new Sansa chapter coming. Fingers crossed. And I just posted an article on Medium that I'll share with you guys at the end about Sansa. So just a little tribute overview for people who might not know a lot about her, kind of covering her journey as to where we are on the show now. So that I'll share with you guys too.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
More for the uninitiated. This crowd is super educated about Sansa, and I'm super excited Erin's here. Thank you.
I'm actually taken up for Sansa in this chapter, so
yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one.
It is.
Anyway, so should I just get into it? Are we ready? Or
Get it, Liz.
All right.
Ready.
I got the book. So this chapter begins with Sansa. She's in her chambers. She's basically being held, picks up right where we left off with her at the end of A Game of Thrones. And she's in her chambers. She's basically been confined to, unless she's with guards going other places, in King's Landing in the Red Keep. And she's in Maegor's Holdfast, I believe. And it is the morning of Joffrey's name day. So it's his birthday. They're going to have a tourney for him within the Red Keep. So if you remember, her father, they had the hands tourney in the last book, and it was pretty amazing, the most wonderful time that she ever had. and she was so impressed by it. And it was outdoors. I think it was pretty much like outside of King's Landing a little bit. There were tons of people came from all over. Knights came from all over to.
Wait, actually though, let me stop because this is something that stuck out to me. It was actually inside the keep's walls, and it's Joffrey was a little bit pissed about, but it was because there was kind of a little bit of unrest at this time politically.
So what I was making the point is the last tournament that she went to, the hands tourney, which was her father's tourney, was outside the keep. This one, Joffrey's, is going to be inside the keep.
Right. Okay.
Sorry about it if I wasn't.
No, it's cool. It's cool. I just want to, because, just because I just.
Oh yeah. No.
Stuck out to me, actually, the fact of how quickly the politics have changed in this city. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Leah.
Oh no, it is. It's changed like that, right? Joffrey's king, and it's completely different. And I think that's what we really get in this chapter. The other thing, and we'll get into it, is there's a lot of tourneys, and Sansa likes to go to tourneys. She's that girl. So the Westerosi version of like the festival or concert, Coachella,
she's a club kid.
So. Eris Oakheart, who is one of the King's Guard, comes to her chambers to get her, to escort her to the tourney. And they have a little conversation, and she notices the comet. If we remember, the comet was at the very end of the last book appeared, the red comet in the sky. Everybody in every chapter has been noticing this comet and has a different theory as to what it means. And Sir Eris, says it's small folk are saying it's in honor of Joffrey. Sansa kind of thinks to herself, really? Didn't quite believe that.
Yes, she does. Yeah.
Bullshit.
She's, she notices the comet is red, and Eris Oakheart says the comet is red because Joffrey sits on the dragon throne, and because, crimson is the color of House Lannister. But Sansa thinks, isn't Joffrey supposed to be a Baratheon, which is gold?
A lot of golden references in this.
Yeah. So then Sansa's also getting dressed, and she's wearing purple, and she's wearing a hairnet with moonstones. Those might, what hairnets and purple might be something to note for later. I don't know. She's also wearing long sleeves because they're covering the bruises that Joffrey's had his guards give her. So they're also his gifts. So the hairnet is a gift from Joffrey, but so are these bruises. And she mentions that. Then Eris Oakheart and her walk to the tourney grounds, and he gives her basically an update on what's going on. And she mentions that in the kingdom and with the battles. And she notices that Eris Oakheart is kind of a handsome Kingsguard, and that he's actually nicer. He doesn't hit her as hard as the other Kingsguard. And so, that's important to note. She sees him as being a little nicer than the others. She asks if the queen will attend, and he says no. Basically, he tells her things are going to shit for the Lannisters at the moment. They're losing a lot to Robb's troops. Plus, they have to deal with whatever's with Stannis and Renly, those threats. So Cersei's in council meetings, and she's not coming to the tourney. And that's also part of why we're not going to see a lot of knights at this tourney, because there's basically a war going on everywhere else. And she makes a point of saying that Eris Oakheart likes to gossip. So he likes to give her all the dirt that's going on. We get to the tourney, and Tommen is really happy to see her. Marcella kind of says hi. Joffrey's, typical asshole, basically. And Joffrey informs her. First of all, Tommen tells Sansa that his mom, the queen, said that he could ride in the tourney. And basically, Tommen's going to run a ride against a straw man, like a dummy. And so she's very kind. We see her being very kind to Tommen. He's a little kid. She's like, oh, that's great. then Joffrey tells her that, let's see, where am I? Joffrey basically tells her that Viserys is dead. And he starts it out by saying, haven't you heard the Beggar King is dead? And at first she's like, is he talking about Robb? She gets a little nervous and then realizes that it's about Viserys. So this chapter, we're getting a lot of updates about what happened at the end of the last book by, people telling Sansa what's going on. And then Joffrey threatens to have people fight to the death, which Sansa notes is something he likes to do a lot.
Yeah.
It's a big thing. He's like, I'm going to make these people fight to the death. And also she noticed he holds her hand and she's like repulsed by it. So there's a lot of things Joffrey does in this chapter that she thinks before I would have thought were so wonderful, but now she just really hates him. Ever since, she basically is like, she begged him for mercy and he gave her father's head. And so she's, as she said, she's repulsed by him. We also get at this tourney, we get a download of a bunch of the people and characters who are in King's Landing. So we get like the Rossbys, we get Lady Tanda, Jala Barzal, the Lady I can't say her name, Emersande, is that how you say it? Who's basically a baby that's going to get married off for her claim. Sir Haber and all that. So we see all these people who are part of the court. And then we go to, then they start the tourney and she asks if the Hound is going to, we see the Hound. And she asks if the Hound is going to be riding. And he's basically like, no way I'm going to be riding against these gnats, as he calls them. And she makes a note to herself that the Hound won the last tournament that they had, which was her father's tournament. And he's just like, so basically him not even participating means this is a nothing tournament. This is just like, this isn't even the G League. This is the this is like middle school,
This ain't even the B team. This is
right. This is middle school. This isn't this is not. No way.
Yeah, she went there.
Yeah, he's basically, it wouldn't be worth the bother. And so we see Sir Haber of House Redwyne. So as we know, Sir Haber, and what is his brother's name? Horace. Sir Haber and Horace. Those are great names. Sir Haber, and basically Sir Haber and Sir Horace are twins. They're being held hostage just like she is, because they're of House Redwyne, which is in the Reach, which is pledged to the Tyrells. And the Redwynes have a big a big navy or a big fleet. So Sir Haber's going to go against Meryn Trant, which is obviously he's not going to win that. And so the next after that, we see another favorite of Sansa's, which is Janos Slint's son, Sir, what is his name? Sir Morris. And he's against Balin Swan. And she basically hopes he dies, which I don't blame her. And so again, we get another Janos Slint reference, which I think was, is basically who she wants his head cut off of, which he will get his head cut off later on. And yeah, so we get a lot of this internal dialogue of what Sansa thinks about these people who have really hurt her family. And then we get Ser Dantos. And this is kind of a famous Sansa moment. So this whole chapter is really big for Sansa. But in this point, we see her, Ser Dantos comes out, he's drunk. The show did this really well. And he's drunk, he's naked, he can't get on his horse. He tries to get on, he just doesn't know what's going on. And Joffrey's basically like gonna kill him. And is not just kill him by cutting his head off, Joffrey's gonna drown him in his own wine. which is just terrible, horribly cruel. And so Sansa basically is so horrified by this, and she says, without thinking, you can't do that. And Joffrey is like, what? You can't tell me what to do. And she quickly comes up with a lie to say, well, it would be bad luck. It's your name day. And that's how she covers up what she says. And he kind of looks at her, thinks about it, and he says, okay, well, I'll kill him tomorrow. And she goes, oh, well, he doesn't deserve the mercy of a quick death. He would make, and where's the quote? But basically she convinces him to make him a fool. And she, you know, because Joffrey says, I'll kill the fool tomorrow. And so he says, and so Sansa convinces him to make Ser Dantos the court fool. And Ser Dantos will be forever in her debt for this going forward. And this is sort of her first act of mercy in a way, because she saves his life essentially, or gets and convinces Joffrey through her own wits to not kill him. And so this is really when we see Sansa start to be a political player, in the sense of, you know, being able to manipulate people in a kind way, you know, in a way that gets people, you know, saves lives essentially. So after that, she, you know, basically Joffrey's over the tourney. He's like, we're going to cancel this because this is a terrible tournament. And Tommen gets really upset. And I think this is an underrated moment in this chapter, because Tommen comes out and says, wait, you said my mom said I could ride. And Joffrey's like, you're a kid, whatever, get over it. Joffrey's just generally being a jerk. And so again, Sansa, basically Marcella also, and everyone sort of convinces Joffrey to let Tommen ride. Sansa wishes him good luck. Tommen goes on his pony, and he goes to knock down a dummy on jousting, and he falls off the first time. And Sansa kind of asks him, she's like, well, you know, shouldn't you go over and tell him he did a good job and make sure he's okay and help him up? Like, she speaks out to Joffrey in this point. And he's like, why would I, you know, he's not going to do that. And so I think this is actually another point where she speaks her mind to Joffrey, and also in a way because she believes that something kind should, you know, you should be doing something kind to Tommen. He's a child. And so they help Tommen up, and he goes again. And even the Hound says, look, the kid has courage, which is more than Joffrey has, right? Joffrey's not riding in this tourney. He's not going out to fight these battles. So it's a really important, I think that's a really underrated moment in the chapter, when she really sticks up for Tommen. Again, but before Tommen can go again, guess who shows up? Tyrion. So we get another, Tyrion rides in with his mountain, are they called the mountain clans from the Vale? The people,
that's what I called them.
Yeah, the mountain clans, clansmen. He rides in with these guys, and Tommen is so excited to see him. He rides over, Marcella runs over. They all kind of go over to see Tyrion, and they have this discussion, and Joffrey goes over to greet him. And Tyrion kind of does his usual, like, he's very snarky to Tyrion. Or Tyrion is very snarky to Joffrey, and makes a lot of smart comments. One of kind of a classic is, you know, he says a lot of people are calling themselves kings these days. And Joffrey kind of doesn't know what to make of that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a great line. I'm trying to find the exact line. It's such a good line, you know.
Hannah and Sansa are both very witty with that in your face.
Mm-hmm.
Are they
kind of like,
are to me or not? Like,
yeah, are you saying shit or not? I'm not sure. They're great. And yeah, Tyrion's quite like that. Yeah. So he lays one on Joffrey, and Joffrey's a bit confused and then walks off, leaves, the tourney's over. And the Hound kind of warns Tyrion, like, you need to watch it. Like, without saying, like, hey, this kid's crazy. He lets Tyrion know. And then Tyrion, they all leave. Tyrion has a few words with Sansa, and he kind of, Tyrion's got Sansa's number here as far as thinking, she's not happy. And she plays the role. She does the line of, my father was a traitor, my brother and my lady mother are traitors. She just she keeps repeating that line so that she's covering her bases as far as
I'm loyal to my beloved Joffrey.
Yeah, loyal to her beloved Joffrey. I mean, she's gonna make, like, if that's what they have to think, she's gonna let them think that, and inside she is, planning, just biding her time, really. And I think Tyrion doesn't really fall for it, right? And he says, no doubt, as loyal as a deer surrounded by wolves, and she whispers lions. So, and she makes sure no one hears her. But I think, Tyrion hears her, and he's basically like, only a little lion. And, again, he's kind to her, but as Sansa makes a note, she goes, he's still a Lannister, And yeah, like, there was a time when I thought his mother and Joffrey were kind to me. They betrayed me. Tyrion's still a Lannister, and she's never going to make that mistake again. And that's where we end the chapter. So that's the overview, guys.
That's awesome. I think you did a great job. And
Yay, Liz.
And I just can't say enough. Really, out of all the show adaptations of certain things they did, they really handled this tournament well.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, again, it's season 2, episode 1. It opens up. The opening scene is them under a pavilion at the tournament. So.
Yeah. No, they got this one great. And I think it's just a really interesting, again, it's a chapter that for me, I got so much more the second time reading it.
We also learned quite a bit about Aerys Sokart and what makes him so susceptible in Dorne.
I have some thoughts.
That line in there, that wasn't a throwaway line. I don't believe that Aerys Sokart loved gossip.
What does Erin have to say? I mean, I think
Erin, what really sticks out for you in this chapter? And well,
I love that, Sansa, she kind of has like these protector figures that they look out for her. So she's got, she had Sandor, and then Tyrion, and then also we meet Ser Dontos in this chapter. So I just think that, we get kind of a feature of all of these. It's her first chapter in this book, and these are like her 3 main guys that are protecting her throughout this book and the next one, I think.
And I think it's also pointing that Aerys Sokart a little bit, because she does refer to the King's Guard. Other than the Hound and Sir Aerys, she refers to him as the 5.
Yes. She says that, I wrote it down, like, Sir Meryn is just cruel, and Sir Mandan's strange dead eyes, and Sir Boros is short-tempered, and the Hound is the only one that he never gets, or he never asks to hit Sansa, which
I think is really interesting.
Say that again.
I think that's really interesting that Joffrey doesn't even bother. And I wonder why that is. I honestly think that, something that we may not know, or we've kind of been hinted at, is, that Sandor and Gregor had a sister at one point. So I think that something awful happened there.
Yeah.
It might be like maybe Lannister knowledge, the Cleganes are the Lannisters' dogs and
the vassals. Yeah.
Yeah. So I wonder if like maybe Joffrey has insight that maybe Sansa doesn't have about the sister. And that's why maybe Cersei at one point was just like, listen, just don't ever I don't know, just be sensitive about girls Emerson.
That's what I'm saying. As badass as he is, and all he talks about is everybody loving to be killers, the one thing he adheres to in his code is to treat women. I mean, I know he's killed women, but to basically treat women well and with respect. I mean, he saved Sansa's butt about the, you can't kill somebody on your name day thing that she blurts out.
Well, when you look at that, the example that his brother showed him of what knights are, and probably other Lannister knights he was raised around, he wouldn't want to be like them. So he kind of want to be the anti-knight, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think there's even that line. I think Sansa even says in this chapter, she says something like that the Hound never wanted or never became a knight. His brother was a knight, and he hated his brother.
Yeah, I remember that line.
I think Joffrey might be a little afraid of the Hound. I think that's also why he might not ask her or ask him to hit her. I think he's just scared. I think he might be.
But as much as he's like, I am the king, you would think he would make him do whatever the hell he wanted him to do. I mean, he made him kill Micah, so
I love
Sir Ares Oakheart actually was very good to her too. He treated her very gentlemanly. Like he was the same way with Marcella too, though.
I think Ares Oakheart. Can I say my theory? And you can tell me if you think I'm wrong. I think he's in Littlefinger's pocket. That's what I got. Like he's feeding her information. There's something up because like she's like, no one else tells me stuff. He likes to gossip. I'm like, does he though? Like, maybe he does, but he's like telling her stuff and filling her in. And I'm like, maybe there's something. Maybe not Littlefinger or someone. I don't know. There's something up there. Maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, I never thought about it before, Liz, but I could definitely see, they have, they all have spies everywhere. Somebody, Varys, anybody using one of them as a way to spy on her.
I like that.
Theirs kind of makes sense because he did, I think Olenna says at one point about, Varys told us about that you like lemon cakes. And so he's dropping his little truth bombs around town.
I think he's doing Sansa more than Littlefinger. I don't think Littlefinger, I'm trying to think at this point in the book, if he really realizes or has made plans to get Sansa's power for himself. You know what I mean? If he started down that road yet. By this point. I don't think that happens until after on the show, at least until after Marjorie and Joffrey become betrothed and Sansa's kicked to the side. Then he starts like, okay, I'm going to get her out of here for myself.
It starts a little bit later, but what I do definitely get from this chapter is, though, I can 100% understand why Cersei sent Ares Oakheart to protect Marcella. Like, really get a good picture of Ares Oakheart from this chapter, and knowing how much Cersei does care about her own children, if not necessarily anybody else's, but we get a pretty picture of what he's like, and I definitely understand why he was the one chosen to go with Marcella.
Yeah, definitely. I can see that too.
Going back to the Hound, I really loved how he, even when Sansa knew she was lying, he said, what she's saying is true.
He knows she's full of shit. But, I mean, he knows. He did that he did it totally on purpose to help her not, get more of Joffrey's gifts.
Yeah. So. Right. He did, and that's what we were talking about before. Sansa's good in that she does usually gather a few people around her who, like her and do have her genuine best interest at heart.
You remember she says in this chapter that she was hoping Cersei was going to be there because she keeps Joffrey under control.
Exactly.
And like, shit, that's bad. But at least it's some protection.
At this point, she knows that whenever, Joffrey at this point is still, he doesn't when his mom is there to tell him no, or
Yeah, he listens. Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I mean,
and yeah, that is sad that she does think to herself. She asks Eris, and but that's what she's thinking to herself. Like, number one, she was glad it was him.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like she said, she called the others the five, and she hates Jano Slint with a passion. Though I know he's.
Oh yeah.
hard.
Well, even Joffrey calls Moros an jumped oaf. So that was all Cersei's idiocy and Littlefinger.
Well, yeah.
Whenever he fell off his horse and got dragged, and because she kind of thought that it was her prayers, and
Which sounds like Catelyn.
she was kind of relieved that he was alive.
Does that not sound like Catelyn?
What stood out to me most from this chapter was how much the Lannister children have so much Lannister pride and not Baratheon.
Yes.
Right.
And in this chapter, we get so many golden references. Oh, let me go through. The first one starts with the comment and the conversation between Sansa and Eris Oakheart, and shouldn't the gods have sent Joff a golden comet? And remember,
right,
something Sansa had said back earlier in one of her chapters that Ned said from the mouth of babes, and that keyed him into what?
Whenever she said she was going to give him beautiful little sons with
little golden-haired children, yeah,
golden hair, whatever.
Seven hells.
Right.
Arya just got. He just got.
And then the comment whenever he was facing his straw knight, he said Casterly Rock and not
right.
And the rock, the dummy had antlers on it.
Yeah,
yes.
Like he was going.
So he's like attacking his father. Yeah.
Here's another one. And tall for his age, with green eyes and golden hair of the Lannisters.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's about 3 golden references in this chapter that all kind of point at the fact that Joffrey is just pure Lannister.
Well, and then the fact that he has the Kingsguard going in the tourney against the other people that are Lannister prisoners. So the other people that are there, like Felice and the Stokeworth, Rosby, all
the
them
Red Wine twins
under Lannister thumbs. That's all that's there. And how it's matched again shows that Cersei isn't there to control him, because he's setting it up for his own amusement, basically death matches.
Let me ask everybody a question about this whole Lannister thing. Do you think that Joffrey, Marcella, and Tommen know? Or do you think that Cersei is just kind of brainwashing them into thinking Lannister heritage is better than their Baratheon heritage? I kind of want to believe that they know that they're Lannisters.
Well, with the scene we saw on the show, I think it's more, no offense to any guys, but a woman's Marcella's intuition to kind of figure that out before the boys do.
Yeah, I think Marcella knows, and I think Tommen's just
something they don't, right?
The other ones
and I think Joffrey was raised too much around Robert and put up with too much of his stuff.
Yeah.
And he's too stuck up to want to believe it. Even if he did believe it, I don't think he would admit to it, because that could threaten his rule.
Right, exactly. I believe that Joffrey wouldn't even for 1 second let himself believe something like that, because it would put his entire identity at question. What do you think, Erin?
He said, "Mother, I heard a disgusting rumor about you today. It can't be true." Remember?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What do you think, Erin?
Well, I find it interesting that later when Tyrion he apologizes to Sansa about Ned dying, and then he says, "Oh, I'm sorry to you too," to Joffrey, and Joffrey's like, "For what?" And he's like, "Your dad died too." And he's like, "Oh yeah, well it was like a hunting accident or something." He just totally throws it off. He just
a little wanker.
It's interesting that he's like, it's not even in the forefront of his mind, you know?
Right.
And he brushes it off. And then even when Tyrion brings up too, he was like, was it? And then he just totally ignored that.
Yeah, is that what they say?
And we also get that contrast of Sansa being able to think of little else. And
I'm so proud of her this chapter. I will say, Liz, and I'm more against Catelyn than Sansa, but I was very proud of Sansa this chapter.
No, this is a great Sansa chapter.
And her not holding back when Tommen falls and all of that stuff.
I think, you know, and you guys bring up, like, you're bringing up a good point with I think Joffrey not even being like not knowing that Tyrion was like saying he was sorry for Robert's death. I think it's a lot about Robert was just a terrible father.
Yeah.
Like, he was just a shitty dad. And so that's why his kids don't care about him. That's why his kids are all Lannister. Like, it's because Robert's shitty.
Like, he ain't come to any of their games.
Yeah. And the reason why
like, he's a shitty father.
Yeah.
If you don't show up to your kids'
Joffrey
football and softball, baseball game.
And and the contrast here is that,
his bastards knew were his. He was a good dad to when it fit in the way he knew how to be.
Mm-hmm.
Probably did know. He just didn't want to.
Didn't F it.
He needed Tywin too much. He needed Tywin's money. He said it himself, even that he needed Tywin's money. So if he said, "Oh, those aren't my kids," then Tywin could have pulled his bank at any time.
I wouldn't. I mean, that wouldn't surprise me. And I would say the contrast here is that, like, when Sansa goes and helps Tommen, that struck me as something she learned from, like, Ned and Catelyn. Like, so her parenting and her father, like, you could see Ned going over, like, that's what he would do if one of the boys, if Bran fell off his horse during a practicing jousting, Ned would go over and be like, "You did a good job, kid. Get back up there. Are you okay? Okay." Like, you pat him on the back a bit, right?
Well, and it's good that despite the way she, despite everything going on, she still has that empathy. Common, empathy, sympathy, whatever you want to call it, to be like, "Hey, go check on your damn brother."
Yeah, and I think that's like a just a contrast to me in a way. It's a contrast in the parenting, in like Robert being just not a great dad for whatever reason to his Lannister children.
We need to throw Cersei in there.
Ned and Catelyn both being like much better parents for the most to their to the So
I think
Cersei,
up when he chopped off her dad's head, but I think he really fucked up whenever he took her and made her look at his head. And now he just keeps biting back. The wolf just keeps biting back, and she's like, "Yeah, I'd like to see you fight my brother one-on-one."
Wouldn't we all?
Come on, Sansa, get him.
Yeah.
I would like to see that too.
Right. Oh my God.
You guys, oh gosh, what was I going to bring up? Something that I had. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, my mind just flipped out. I don't remember what it was that I was going to say.
Well, while you think about that,
I'll be right back.
Okay.
Is like, I would want to marry Tommen instead of Joffrey, and then also talking about how kind and gentle Tyrion speaks to her. But then she's also like, well, the queen spoke to me gently too.
But you know what was kind of cool though? She ended up like confessing to Tyrion almost and was truthful with him. Yeah. And he was like, "Don't worry, I'm a gentle lion." When she said that she was surrounded by lions and all that, she's like, "I can't believe I told him that."
Yeah, he said, "I'm a lion."
It's like they were already connected at that point, even.
So whenever she said, I wouldn't mind marrying Tommen, and then right after that, we're having this encounter with Tyrion, which we all know what happens in the future.
And he was the same height as Tommen, by the way.
Right.
With all the men from the Vale, all the clans, and the way that they were described reminded me a lot of the others. And we know that they were like originally here and everything too. So I just thought this similar, and they were called monsters. I thought that all that was just really cool. And
Yeah.
he did.
That she called out Tyrion still had his shadow cat skin cloak. I was like, yeah.
Oh yeah, the shadow skin cloak. Go ahead, Erin. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, did you guys catch, I think it's about, I can't remember which night it is, and I apologize, I don't have it right in front of me, but one of the nights that, one of the Kingsguard nights that was fighting in the tourney, the way that he's described, he has a lot of others, like symbolism going on too, like with his white cloak streaming and something about like his icy coloring and stuff like that. I don't know. It was really great. I should have written it down.
Are you talking about
I think I know exactly what you're talking about. Is it the person whose sigil was like purple with lightning bolts?
Maybe. I thought it was one of the Kingsguard though.
I think what Erin is talking about is at the beginning. I think she might be talking about Sir Mirren Trent. He was on
Okay.
gray hair, and he had like this big old long streaming white.
Yeah.
Yep. I think I have it here. It's Sir Meryn entered from the west side of the yard clad in a gleaming white plate chased with gold and mounted on a milk-white charger with a flowing gray mane. His cloak streamed behind him like a field of snow. He carried a 12-foot lance. So
Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
Which is
wow, what a pretty horse.
yeah, it's terrifying if you think he's I could see it. He's horrible.
Right, which is why the horse was the only pretty thing.
Oh, I know what I was going to say. It's kind of a mundane thing, but nevertheless, when they were talking about it first, he was going to, I believe, have Sir Dantos drowned in a butt of wine. That does have a basis in history. So, he didn't end up doing it or whatever, but I just love the way George always inserts, little bits of things that actually did happen or that may have happened, during.
And I think, speaking of that too, I'm glad you brought up Sir Dantos. I really wish they would have done like they did in the book on the show, because I think it would have been hilarious for him to be chasing his horse in without his pants on.
With his feet flopping out.
Wasn't he naked on the show? Or did he wear his pants? I thought he was completely
He had a bottom. He had a bottom.
Oh man, they missed it. He should have been naked. Come on, HBO.
That would have been
Of all the dongs that we had to see in this show, we didn't get to see Sir Dantos.
How many times have we seen Daenerys' titties? Like,
he did.
Now let's talk for a minute about this, you guys. This is something I want to bring up. Lothar Brune. This is really
right. Yes.
You do any Sansa character work, Lothar Brune is somebody who comes up definitely later, but I believe this is our introduction to him.
Yes, thank you. I forgot to mention him in my overview. I noticed.
Like the rest of them.
His presence is what made me another reason why I kind of thought Eris Oakheart was maybe on like spying for, and maybe he's spying for the Tyrells. But I really, when I saw Lothar Brune in there, I was like, my spidey senses went off.
Well, Amanda Duncan says no, she just doesn't get that. Yes, you're right. Duncan the Small. And by the way, Duncan the Small, welcome. I believe this is the first time that I've ever seen you in the chat. Welcome. Everybody's welcome here. And your opinion is always welcome and valid here because nobody knows for sure. The Duke of Clarence was drowned in a cask of wine. Yes, he was. And that's, George has gone on record saying that he used the War of Roses as inspiration for these novels. And that was one of the things that happened.
Duncan the Small, Jennifer's your other War of the Roses expert.
But there's more than just the War of the Roses. There's so much.
I know. I'm just saying for that particular, because I got a book by this woman years ago that was How Game of Thrones Will End, and most of it she was basing on the War of the Roses, but that's just one part of history that he used. So. Right.
He used other things. He used things that had nothing to do with English history, like the Black Dinner. That was his Scottish history. He used. I've seen it. I feel like he takes bits and pieces from around the world of events that happen.
Well, yeah, he does with a religion and everything. And I'm gonna tell you, when I this is kind of off topic, but I'll make it quick. When my friend Stephanie, we were best friends, and she met this guy Rob McDonald, and they got married, had a great Scottish wedding, and then I started dating Robert McDonald, and it was like, God, that would be so weird if we both got married to a Robert McDonald. Their middle initials are different. And one day I was over at their house, and something came up about Campbell's soup, and he's like, "Don't you ever eat anything Campbell's?" And this was before I knew any Scottish like stuff. And I'm like, why? And then he told me the story. Apparently, the Campbells caused the Black Wedding against the McDonald's.
Okay, but the Campbell's chicken noodle soup is good.
I'm not saying that. That's why I was like, what the hell, dude? It's just soup. But he was like, no, nothing Campbell's. I mean, he was like serious about it.
You guys were really dicks and they deserve to die or something. Who knows?
I don't know.
I don't know.
You know.
Okay.
I would die for that tomato soup. I'll tell you what.
I do like
Tomato soup is good.
Grilled cheese. That sounds kind of good.
Yeah, that does sound good.
Robert makes the best grilled cheeses.
All right,
I wanted to bring
off the topic of food because I'm gonna get hungry. I ain't cooked dinner yet.
Right.
Talk about the difference between Robert's tourney and Joffrey's tourney.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody went to Robert's tourney. You know, it was so freaking huge. She was talking about how she remembered everybody was there. Everybody in the city was there. There were.
I'll be right back, you guys.
Fields.
It was the most magical night of her life, night of her life.
It was the tourney of gnats. Nobody was there. It was inside the Red Keep.
Yep.
Nobody was allowed to come, basically, except the people that was participating.
And it says specifically, Rhea already mentioned the people that were, are Cersei's, guests, but the red wine twins, Horace and Hobber, they didn't really want to be in the tourney, but we kind of need to.
Her hand throughout the books is at that tourney.
What? Say that again?
Everyone that suffers at her hands is at that tourney.
Felice and Lawless. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And Rosby and just everybody. It's like through everybody that's in attendance. It's like, yep. It's like Cersei's list, honestly.
All right, this was something I wanted.
Cersei's list.
I wanted to bring up.
And had a list too. He was talking to Sansa about. You just got to go back and pay attention. There was a Craycall or so on there.
Yeah, that's true. And Sansa is the top of Cersei's list. We know that. That's coming. They're gonna have their showdown in season 8. I'm convinced.
But here's the thing: she had to take her off, at least on the show, whenever she found out that she wasn't responsible for Joffrey, and she'll have to once she finds out.
I don't know though. I think she's.
I don't think she's gonna take her off.
No, she wants. She's got to. They got beef, man. They got serious. They gotta.
Yeah, we'll see who comes out on top of that, though.
Jamie has now left. Jamie's now left to be he's going north to fight with the North. That's you can't. Cersei's not going to forgive that one.
No.
Right.
I think I don't see that happening either.
Does anybody else have anything to say about the chapter? If not, we'll go ahead and wrap it up because
I know everybody's
super busy.
I want to say one thing, and that is, I'm going to read the little part. Sorry, I need reading glasses if I can find it. But it was just basically about what Sansa is wearing. The gown with the long dagged sleeves to hide the bruises on her arms, and that it's made of pale purple silk, and then the moonstones, which Rhea knows more about. But everybody's talking about Sansa or Dany or whoever being the younger, more beautiful queen. In my opinion, every time we see Sansa on the show, every time she's talked to, almost every time in the book, she's wearing something purple, and that's the color of royalty.
Yep.
Yeah. I definitely think Sansa's the younger, more beautiful queen. Yeah. It's not a question for me.
No, I agree. That's yeah. I mean, I know I've written about it. You can, if you ever want to share, I will share with you stuff.
Okay,
Well,
well, let's go down the panel. Everybody answer that question. Erin, do you think Sansa is the younger, more beautiful queen? And do you think Cersei is basically going to have a hard on for her no matter what? Because I do. Because I think Cersei is super jealous of Sansa.
Yeah, man.
I think at this point, yeah, it would be a hard thing, a hard chip for Cersei to just brush off of her shoulder. Like, she has got some deep-seated hate at Sansa for,
Nobody
you know,
can hold
even
a grudge like Cersei Lannister.
exactly. And so, you know, it's like, now, I think if I were Sansa, I would never leave Winterfell again. I would just
look, in my opinion, on the show, she represents that fairly well. That's even her belief.
Yeah, which means she's not. They're gonna take her anyways. Kidnapping plot. Spoiler alert.
Well, I've heard that, and I think it would go over okay. I mean, that's a good way to get Jon down to King's Landing. So
well, it's not even necessarily got to be a kidnapping that's going to happen, because here's the thing. Still, if you look at the Lannister lineage, their family tree is still listed as a Lannister.
Oh, she
is. Yes, she is. She is a Lannister. And if Cersei, and let's just say Cersei loses her baby, or Cersei needs someone to help back up for an heir, who better would she need? Or an ally
than Jon.
She need than Sansa. I'm telling you, I've been saying Sansa gonna flip.
Well, this is I think we bring up a good point, and this chapter brings it up because we see Tyrion and Sansa meet for the first time.
Even if she does kill Cersei, that would be a damn good way to get her to King's Landing for her to kill Cersei.
Well, the marriage of her and Tyrion is still valid. Like, I mean, we can get into the details. Like, there's a whole, just because it wasn't consummated doesn't mean it's, like, in the books, it's definitely still valid.
Right.
So they're kind of playing fast and loose with it. So, you know, and like we see Tyrion in this chapter, like, yeah, it's like that's an open question, I think, what her status is with the Lannisters as far as still being married to Tyrion or not.
Okay, going to the chat, Eduardo Blanco says, at Crazy Girl Productions, which is Liz, I read your articles. It's just fantastic. Kudos.
Good.
Well,
thank you, Eduardo. Yeah, she really puts her heart and soul into those.
Jen, to answer your question, my feelings about who the younger, more beautiful queen could be. Like, yeah, at first it could be Sansa, but then we also have Marjorie Tyrell, and then we also have Dany. Like, there's so many people that could be the younger, more beautiful queen. You know, I never really can decide on who
I think Dany's too obvious. That's just
every time I
the style he writes.
Situation, I think like, oh, Dany's too obvious, but like I freaking love Dany. You know, everybody loves Dany. She's like.
Can I say something that's a little off topic of the chapter? I'm sorry, but it's just been driving me crazy because everybody's been talking about it. How when Cersei stops drinking wine, that means she's pregnant. What women in the Middle Ages stopped drinking wine when they were pregnant?
Right?
Women nowadays drink red wine when they're pregnant. But that's just bad story writing, in my opinion. I'm sorry. That's all. That's my venting done.
So, like, I think
PC culture.
Lost the baby somehow, or had it won, but surely she lost it. You know.
In the trailer, she almost looks happy while she's. I mean, I see kind of tears in her eyes, but something's happened that's made her pretty happy when she's sipping her wine like she does after she blows up the set.
I think it's probably the property.
I really, me myself, I try not to read too much into, you know, breaking down a trailer or whatever, because those are clipped and snipped and dipped and stripped. I know. Erin, were you going to say something?
Yeah,
I believe they're cut in such a way to be very, very leading.
clip snipped and dipped. I love that. Yeah, I think that it was, if she does have that little smile on her face too, I think for her, there's probably some satisfaction in maybe like it's more reassurance that the prophecy was true, or whatever. She's really invested in that prophecy for Maggie the Frog. So
she really is.
Yeah.
She believes in it, and some would argue that a curse is all psychosomatic. But if that is the case, Cersei has certainly fallen under the spell of making it real because she believes it.
Yeah. Self-sabotaging and
definitely
doing all that fun stuff. She's the type.
And speaking of prophecy, I actually I'm flipping through my book here, and I know I wanted to, in the chapter before last week, we had an Arya chapter, and Arya actually says on her last page, second to or sort of almost last page, she says, Joffrey, Arya briefs, someone should kill him. And then in the next chapter, we get Sansa, and I know I brought this up last week, but we get Sansa, we get her dressed in purple, and she wears a hairnet, which is a moonstone hairnet, not one with purple stones. But I mean, basically the hairnet carries the poison. Sansa plays the huge role in Joffrey's death. I mean, I love how these chapters relate together. And, when you read the book and how he organizes the chapters and you get hints in one chapter that relate to another. There's also, I'm going to be on my Jansa bullshit. Arya Jon, and then we get Sansa, and those, as I said before, those three are always kind of really related together, the three of them, for whatever reasons, whether they're, going to be a team or whatever. And I think, with the prophecy of, that Arya gets later on of made with, purple serpents in her hair, and someone should kill Joffrey and all this, I don't know. He was planning the death even in this Joffrey's death early on.
I don't really have much else to say about this chapter. The only thing I don't feel like we went over entirely was when Tyrion's crew came in. Sansa said that they looked like they were from an old Nan's tale that Bran would have loved. They were really scary looking.
The monsters.
Anything else?
That's where they were, the monsters, and they are the original men that were in Westeros. The true men are actually a house in the Vale still, where House Shet is actually descendants of the true kings, or the kings of the true men that are in the Vale still. So
they're described as like the monsters in one of Old Nan's stories.
Right, I know, and I'm getting to this, but
okay.
The way that they're described too, especially one's covered all in hair, it reminded me of, and how big he is and all that. It reminded me of the giants, and then the rest of them, just the way they're described, it reminds me of the others, or at least the blood of the others, the original others.
So, that reminds me something. Erin, say what you're going to say. Sorry, Erin was going to say something.
That's because the blood of the wildlings is the same blood in the Starks. And it's those men are the first men that were driven into the hills by the...
Okay, hang on. The Starks came from somewhere. Hang on. The Starks came from somewhere, and no one knows where the Starks came from. But that's the thing. This is where the Starks could come from, is these true men. And they're supposedly very connected with these men and these hill tribes in the Vale.
Right.
So where the Starks could have came from is these same men, and especially the relationship and how they're described as being, so similar to the others, and the Starks being compared and so similar to the others too. It's not necessarily blood of the first men that we're looking at, the first men to come to Westeros, rather, but blood of the true men that were there.
I see.
The magical blood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, also a good point that I think to remember is, for those of us who have read more, the first chapter, so Sansa's first Winds of Winter chapter, which has been released for people who've read it, is an Elaine chapter, and she's planning, and at the end of A Feast of Crows, she's planning another tourney. So they're about to have another tourney.
Yeah, it's like a mimic of the tourney of Ashford. Yeah, I've done all this.
Right, we get the tourney.
I love those sample Sansa chapters.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, and we have this tourney. So we have this tourney. We have the Hands tourney in the first book, but also we have the appearance of these like hill tribe from the Vale men. And some people think, I've heard some theories, I don't know if this is going to happen, but they say that Sansa in the Vale is going to have something to do with the hill tribes, because they're basically, what Tyrion promises them is that the Lannisters will support them against the Erins in the Vale. And so he gets them basically kind of riled up. And so there's some theories that say the hill tribes are actually going to attack during the next tourney in the Vale that Sansa's going to be at this night. There's this whole, I mean, whether it's going to go down like that, but something's going to happen at that tourney. We basically, because
or
I heard theories that, you know, possibly she's going to get taken. And then there's also theories out there that the actual heir to the Vale would
Harry Harding.
Hey, Baratheon girl.
Yeah. Hey, Shelley.
Heir to the Vale is the true heir to the Vale.
No, the true heir to the Vale. Who
Harry Harding.
No, not him.
Harry Harding, he's a herring.
Robin or
no? If Robin dies,
and
instead of Harry Harding actually being the heir, it would be there was a daughter that was actually a closer heir. I think a Westwood, or that was stolen. And
looking at them hill tribes a little better. Oh hell, we're gonna have to talk about the Vale. I had
no idea there was another heir.
Sending out the bat signal right now.
Out there. It's just a theory out there.
We need to talk about the Vale. Cammy,
but you know, it's interesting that you brought that up, because this chapter you get these, and I've thought that actually what could happen is that these hill tribesmen, the true men, that they see Sansa, they know who she is, and they come down and maybe attack at the tourney. They show up at the tourney of the Wing Night, whatever's going on in the Vale, and they're the ones who out her to everybody, and it's like, hey, that was the one who was married to Tyrion. Like, yeah, she's dyeing her hair, but that's who she was. Like, so, you know, somebody who's really seen her. But who knows? I think that these guys are gonna come back to play a role very soon, and if we ever get Winds of Winter.
I think it's finished. I think it'll be out after this season.
Let's hope so.
Well,
I'm
tired of hoping.
Does anybody else have anything about this chapter? Erin, is there anything else that you wanted to talk about, or is there anything you wanted to point out to us that maybe we didn't know about? If not, we'll go ahead and do shout outs and sign off.
No, I think it's all. I think we covered pretty much everything. Yeah, I think I'm good.
Awesome. Thank you again for coming on. And I want to say again, y'all, hit her icon in the chat. There's a working link in the description. Y'all go sub to the Braavosi Broadcast. They put blood. They put a blood and love into that channel over there. It's very well done. And I think that anybody who enjoys the book club would certainly love it. So go over there, check that out, and just thank you again for being our guest.
Subbing right now.
Yeah,
I'm so happy. I would love to do this again. Yeah, I had a really good time, and you guys are so sweet. I'm so glad all the love that our channel's getting. And we have another video that's coming out.
Just, I'll text you and ask, or you can text me and say, hey, there's a really good chapter coming up. I really got to talk about it. I get it. And it is fine.
All right, Erin, I'm subbed to you now. Awesome.
Thank you.
One of their favorite chapters, please tell them to message them.
Yeah, for sure.
I'd just like to say thank you so much, Jen, for having me on every week.
Me too.
And also, thank you so much, Erin, for coming on. I know, that it takes time to get prepared for a chapter every week, and figuring out what you're going to say and stuff like that.
Especially with kids,
I'll
honey.
have you tonight. I know it's hard to get in when there's a lot of people talking, but I think we all kind of even it out pretty well.
No.
And thank you to
It's a lot of fun.
in the chat tonight. I have Living on a Prayer, aka Antique Gamer. I like both names, by the way. Fearless Mermaid, that's Amanda Duncan. Duncan the Small, first timer tonight. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Evan, AU Pac Mule, Eduardo Blanco, The Imagination Realm. Nancy T, Lady Dreamfire. I love that name. Every time I just think about that beautiful Targaryen dragon. Terry, Baratheon girl. And thank you to everyone on the panel tonight, too. I love talking to y'all every week.
Yes. We love talking to you, Bran.
Lady Dreamfire, I know that you're still a Dana at heart, so
That's right, Lady Dreamfire, Lady Laura Dane.
You'll always have a heart, Lady Laura. Plus, yeah, more special connected anyway.
All right, you guys. Well, again, Erin, thank you so much. Everybody, please check out the Braavosi Broadcast. And then next week,
yes.
What is it? Fire and Suds?
Yes, Brittany.
Yeah.
To the channel. She has the cutest stuff, y'all. I mean, seriously.
Oh, it's awesome.
A little
Patreon.
a wedding shower gift for Game of Thrones person.
Patreon as well.
Oh, yeah. And you can Patreon me here. And it all just goes to channel stuff. And well, I just want everybody to have a really great week. Next week, we are doing Tyrion 1, Chapter 3, Clash of Kings. And I wanted to say, coming up very soon, we're going to have a guest. The Imagination Realm is going to come on with us. So she's going to do the first Leon chapter. And if, I'm Jennifer Wolverton on Messenger. If you want to do a chapter or get in touch with me, just message me. I understand wanting to talk about this stuff.
Yeah.
I understand.
I'm so thankful to have y'all every week, and I'm gonna be having withdrawals next week. I'll be wanting to I might pop in, I'll be in my hotel. I'll be in my hotel room, pop in.
Enjoy Gatlinburg. Enjoy.
I am. I haven't been back in 19 years so that's where we got married. So.
Oh, that's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You should I'm sure you're gonna pass through where I am on your way. Stop through and let's get Waffle House.
Oh, I didn't know we were that close to you. Okay, definitely.
Oh my God, that's what it's about, people. I swear, really, it's the best Waffle House you ever had.
Oh hell no.
I love everybody on here and in the chat. Same thing Bran was saying too. And Erin, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you guys. Thank you for having me on. I would love to do this again sometime because you guys are really fun and I love chatting with you.
We'd love to have you.
Well, yeah, you can come on anytime. Okay, guys.
Thank you.
With that, I guess we'll tell everybody just this. Have a great weekend. See you next week.
Can I say one more thing?
Absolutely.
We have a new video coming out in just probably 2 days. So keep an eye out for that. I'll put up a event in the Geek Chat in Facebook. And it's going to be, I know I had promised a Sansa video in our last one, but actually this one's going to be about baby Sam. And you guys are the first people I pulled that to. So it's going to be really good. I'm super excited to get it out there. So I hope you guys all watch.
I can't wait to see that. Y'all, like I was saying again, this is Erin from Braavosi Broadcast. And in my opinion, for whatever that's worth, one of the best channels, one of the best new channels that I've seen.
Yep.
Here, I'll say it.
You're awesome. I'm honored. That's so cool.
No, seriously. So I just love the way y'all do y'all stuff. So with that, y'all go over there and sub and hit notifications. And I'm telling you, you won't regret it. And with
thank you.
Blessed weekend and a great week next week. And we'll see you then.
Yep.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, everyone.
That's